In 1982, Ted Danson took one look at Shelley Long during the Cheers auditions, and his first thought was, "Oh no, this is a bad idea." But the cameras immediately loved their chemistry. And while the audience saw sparks fly on screen, the truth behind the bar was chaos. Whispered complaints and constant tension as scripts began to feel like therapy sessions because one actress pushed harder than anyone had ever seen. And by season 5, even the kindest cast members were at their breaking point. And when she finally left, one actor admitted it was one of the greatest first days they ever had. But it had all started so differently when three women, Shelley Long, Lisa Illicorn, and Julia Duffy, stood on the edge of a life-changing decision, being the finalists for a brand new sitcom called Cheers. And although producers already wanted Shelley, she was busy filming Night Shift and believed the role should be offered to her outright, not out of arrogance, but out of confidence, mixed with pressure, until the creators personally convinced her to audition. And once she read with Ted Danson, it was over because something alive, unpredictable and electric happened. Their styles clashed so hard that it became perfect, and Shelley got the part, while Julia Duffy, who had come heartbreakingly close, was cast later as Diane's friend forced to act beside the woman who took her dream. And for Ted, the complicated feelings began immediately because he thought she was completely wrong for him, since she was theatrical, precise, and dramatic, while he was relaxed, instinctive, and free. Yet when the cameras rolled, they came alive, trading lines like punches. And what felt impossible off-screen looked magical to millions. But that magic came with a price, because Shelley saw Diane not as a comedy role, but as a character who needed to be lived, protected, and analyzed. And from the first episode, she pushed writers with questions, reworks, and deep dives into every line, and assistant directors said entire scenes would be rebuilt because she believed Diane needed more depth or cleverness. And while it was never tantrums, just endless analysis, the cast began to feel drained as rehearsals stretched into emotional interrogations, and even Nicholas Colasanto, coach who first defended her, started feeling exhausted. Since sitcoms move fast, and she wanted to slow everything down. And then the Emmy happened in 1983 when Shelley Long won Outstanding Lead Actress and thanked Ted on stage, saying no one could ask for a better partner. But behind the curtain, no one celebrated with her, as admiration began turning into isolation, and whispers grew louder, saying she was too intense, too controlling, too much for a sitcom. And every day, she arrived early, stayed late, and pushed for honesty in every moment, even debating hair and makeup if it did not feel emotionally true, which stretched production thin, made the crew tired, and made co-stars feel smaller, like the show was becoming the Diane Chambers Project. And while no one said it out loud, the resentment was real. So real that Rhea Perlman said years later, "I cannot even talk about it." But the tension never stopped, because in writers' rooms everyone knew Shelley was brilliant. Yet her brilliance made everything harder. And Ted Danson kept admitting that they were completely different. And sometimes it was horrible just being in the same room. But the strangest thing was that this tension is exactly what made Sam and Diane feel heartbreakingly real, because they were fighting on screen and off. And by season 5, her perfectionism peaked, and writers scrambled to keep up. And when she finally finished her contract in 1987, she simply said, "I am out of here," and walked away, leaving producers terrified that the show would collapse without the Sam and Diane romance. Yet the opposite happened. The energy lifted, the cast could breathe again. And Kirstie Alley's first day was described as one of the greatest first days ever, as Cheers shot to #1 in the ratings for the first time, proving the show could thrive without her. But the story did not end there, because her movie dreams struggled, and she could never escape Diane's shadow. While behind the scenes, Kelsey Grammer claimed she tried to get him fired, and later episodes subtly mocked her by writing Diane as unstable. Though producers insisted Kelsey exaggerated because he was fighting his own demons. But the truth was, the cast grew closer without her, and she never quite reconnected. Years later, she admitted that leaving had been a mistake, saying she blurred the line between herself and Diane, and the work consumed her until she felt like she was Diane, and people treated her like Diane, and watching the show succeed without her hurt more than she expected, and painful distance remained especially. During reunion moments she skipped, even when George Wendt said, every time she was missing it never felt complete. And though Ted Danson once visited her after a health scare, hoping to clear the air, the silence between them stayed heavy and the cast moved on, while Shelley stayed frozen in memories, defending herself in interviews, saying she was just thorough, not difficult, that she believed in character and storytelling, and that she worked the only way she knew how. And the hardest truth is that Cheers was great because of Shelley Long, and Cheers was great after Shelley Long because the cast finally felt free. So, her legacy sits in both places as the brilliant woman who helped launch one of the greatest sitcoms in history, and the intense presence who made working on that sitcom feel exhausting and unforgettable all at once. And if you want more Untold Hollywood stories, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss an update from us.